I mean, hey, if I'm not 10 minutes late, is it really one of my live streams? You gotta ask yourself. So, welcome to the show. Hopefully, you had a miserable day so that I can entertain you, make it better. And for those of you who are new and you don't know how I do things, I speak for 30 minutes about random stuff, and the last 30 minutes we talk about what the title. If I'm not 10 minutes late, hopefully you had a miserable day. So where is V talking? Hold on. I need to find myself and get rid of myself. Oh God. Technical errors, chat. Technical errors. There we go. Oh my God. Oh Dios mío. I thought that I closed all the windows, but why is this happening to me? After so many years of live streaming, you'd think I would have gotten a handle on this shit. But no. Horrible. Anywho, I never ask people to like the live stream. Does it even matter? Okay, fine. Like the live stream, please, if you would so desire. If you're kind enough to click the like, I would appreciate it. And subscribe. Although I'm pretty much sure that most people who are here are already fans of mine, like from the other channel. I wonder, like, if anyone finds my live stream through the live stream channel. What was there a single person which doesn't know that I have a main channel or lack of entertainment and all of a sudden comes here? I'm really curious about that. Probably not. So this is why I don't bother shilling it. Like, usually this channel is found by people who are on my main or on my lack of entertainment. People say, if Quartering says if people like the stream, you get a viewer boost. Probably, but I don't know. I think it's true if you have like a lot of subscribers. If you have like 500 subscribers or something like that. But anyway, yeah, okay, fine. Like the stream. Let's see what happens. Let's see if I get like at least more than half of likes if it's an actual boost in viewership. Let's talk about some thing about OnlyFans, right? So OnlyFans, very interesting thing happened today. Well, it didn't happen today. It happened a couple of days ago, but I just found about it today. So, hey, you know what? It counts. There's this lady, and by the way, this is something that I'm going to make a video on because it pisses me so fucking much. This video is like a cookie cutter. If I tell you the story once, you wouldn't know what video I'm talking about because there's so many of them. So there's like this lady in a gym, right? And she's working out. And in the video, like, she's upset that some twat is looking at her. Right? Like, have you seen that video before? Like, stop me if you've heard it before, right? So again, imagine a Nushikushi lady, which is dressed, I'm not going to say provocatively, but enough so that her curvaceous body is on display. And she's live streaming, and there's like a man that's looking at her, and she's like, "Oh my God, he's undressing me with his eyes. Why does he keep looking at me like that?" Have you seen that video? Huh? People in the chat, let me know. Yeah, the male gaze, it's like super bad with the X-ray vision. I'm looking at the chat. No one has seen the video? Oh, okay. So they've seen different ones, and they all started the same. So please explain to me the logic, okay? Like, because I know why the women do it. Like, that's not the problem, all right? But like, the man who laps this shit up is the one that I do not understand. Like, there are people out there who look at this, and they're like, "Oh my God, she's in distress." So please explain to me the logic. She's live streaming to thousands of people, and it's fine when they look at her, right? Like, if you look at her through the live stream, that's fine. But heaven forbid you're literally in the same room with her and you're taking a peek. And this is, again, it's assuming. Like, first of all, there's nothing wrong with looking at someone, alright? Like, if you don't like men looking at you when you're working out, go to a women-only gym. Like, those exist. It's not that hard to find it, right? Go to a women-only gym if you're that uncomfortable. Like, if you can't be in public, buy your own machines in your house. If you can't have people looking at you. Do you know what happens when I'm in public? People look at me. Holy crap. Oh, well, you know, the horror. Alright, so if you can't handle... Like, again, if someone is groping, I would say, okay, yeah, that's fucked up. But, like, if someone is just looking, I don't give a shit if you're uncomfortable. You know, like, there's a lot of things that make me uncomfortable when I walk on the street. You know, like for example, breastfeeding. It doesn't happen in Romania, but if I were to go into the United Kingdom and I would see it, it would make me uncomfortable. But you know what? I would shut the fuck up. Because I would understand the situation. It's like, oh, well, you know, the world isn't designed to make me comfortable. Like, smoke weed every day? Not in Romania, GDA. You're going to get in prison. But, as I was saying, the world isn't designed to make you feel fucking comfortable. So, there's no problem if someone is staring. I don't give a shit. There is like, you can't convince me that someone looking at someone else is a problem. Alright? Like, if that's it. Like, they're just looking. They're allowed to look. There is no crime against looking. And there shouldn't be. So, with that out of the fucking way, the second thing is, you don't like being sexualized, but you're live streaming yourself in front of thousands of people. What? What? How does that make any sense? In what fucking world? Okay, fine. So, there's this lady, which made the same cookie cutter video, right? Like, she's working out. By the way, please like the live stream. Apparently, I get a viewer boost. I want to test that out. I generally like want to see if people like it, if I get more viewers. So like, please do me a favor, like one. As I was saying, you got this chica, and she's doing the same thing, right? Like, she's live streaming, she's complaining, this guy is looking at her. Turns out she has an OnlyFans. So, like, you don't like being sexualized, but you're sexualizing yourself. Was she upset that he didn't pay the $10? You know, the level of hypocrisy, because again, everyone was calling this shit out. Like, everyone knew what's going on. Like, you know, people were saying, hey. You know, like, you don't really mind people staring. Because if you minded people staring, you'd go to a women-only gym, right? You wouldn't dress like that, or whatever. You know, fine. You'd buy the machines at home, basically. But I don't know. How does we feel about us looking at him? Do I feel objectified? Yes. Stop it. You're raping me with your eyes, chat. It was the wrong male. No, like, the thing is, like, the guy actually looked pretty buffed. I mean, he didn't look like the type of person that would have trouble finding women, you know? But again, like, whatever. Like, maybe she didn't like him. And I guess, like, the problem is that he approached her. And again, like, approaching a woman, I don't think should be criminalized either. Right? Like, this is how my mother and father got together so they can fuck. This is how my grandfather and my grandma got together so they can fuck. They went outside, they saw each other, and my father had to approach my mother, or my grandfather had to approach my grandmother, alright? Like, going out and asking a woman, hey, I like you, or whatever the fuck the pickup line is, right? That's okay. Now, if the woman says no, and you keep insisting, okay, that would be harassment. But, like, just to go out and ask the person once, I don't think that's a problem either. Unless she's on the toilet. Okay, fine. If she's on the crapper, and you're, like, knocking at the stall and, like, hey, beautiful, how are you? What are you doing in there? You know, okay, fine. Like, I get that. I always let girls approach me. I see. Like how do these people expect to date? Right? Like, everyone should be on Tinder? Like, everyone should use dating apps in order to find a significant other? Like, when are you supposed to ask a woman out? That's what I don't understand, right? Like, if you want to say, okay, women shouldn't be approached. Okay, fine. So how is dating supposed to happen? Like, because, like, at one point, you have to ask a woman out, right? So, like, because I remember the elevator scandal, the dumbest scandal that I have ever heard in my entire fucking life, right? So, for those of you who don't know, this is what started the Atheism Plus movement. So, the Atheism Plus movement started with, like, some chick, which was apparently at an atheist convention, and she was in an elevator, and some guy asked her out for coffee. And I'm thinking, okay, so where's the crime? Like, at which point do I need to start caring? What are we talking about? And basically, everyone was outraged and up in arms over this shit. And I was like, at least tell me a story with someone getting groped or something, you know? God. But apparently, right, like this is not okay. Asking women for coffee is not okay. So I'm thinking, like, okay, so how are you supposed to date then? Where are you supposed to date? Like, you're at a convention, right? You like the lady, you know that she's into the same shit you're into. What's wrong with asking her out? Now, if she says no, okay, you stop, right? Like, she's not interested. But, like, asking her out once, that's not a fucking crime. The list of places you can ask someone out is real short. No, it shouldn't be. Like, you're supposed to be able to ask everywhere. Unless, again, like, if she's on the crapper, that's understandable. You know, if she's at the hospital giving birth, okay, that's also understandable, right? Like, if you're the doctor pulling the baby out of her vagina, you're not supposed to ask her out. Like, there are some situations where I do agree that it's improper, but if you're at a convention in an elevator, why the fuck not? I'm willing to bet there's many women that said yes. I mean, I know a guy which managed to meet his wife at the bus station. They never talked with each other before, didn't know each other, they were at the bus station. He said, oh, she looks ushikushi. Went towards her, started the conversation, and that's what happened. At this point, I won't date or meet women with socials. Man, like, the thing with social apps, it's so fucking dehumanizing, isn't it? Unless you're using Facebook. Like, I do agree that Facebook is good. Probably Discord. But, like, if you use Tinder or something that's specifically designed for dating, man, it's like going to a supermarket and picking up the product from the shelf. It's so dehumanizing. You're like, swipe right. Like, it's like going and seeing the merchandise. And what's interesting is that once you decide to have a relationship with someone there, like, the moment it doesn't work out, the person in their mind is like, oh, that's okay, I'll just get back to Tinder and I'll keep swiping until I find someone, right? So, like, most relationships, in fact, all relationships, right, they will go through some breaking points. Like, at one point, it becomes difficult, right? So the question is, like, do you want to work through the difficulty? Like, do you want to work it out? Or do you just want to drop it? And a lot of people, it's like, oh, well, I have Tinder, I can drop it and find someone better. In Canada, you can be charged if you ask in the wrong place. Man, didn't Canada have that dumb law, the woman had to say yes constantly, right? So basically, body language doesn't work. Like, you're throwing body language out the window. Like, in the music, hey, here's my number, so call me maybe, right? Call me maybe, it means don't fucking call her, according to the Canadian legislator, right? Like none of the context, the body language, which most of human interaction is based on, like, verbal communication is probably like 10% or something, right? Because, like, the inflection in one's voice is so fucking important. Like, the inflection in a person's voice differentiates between sarcasm, being serious, or being angry. Body language as well, many other things, right? So all of that is out the window. And it's like, yes means yes. So basically, you need to have sex with a woman and she needs to be like, yes. That's the Canadian way of fucking. I'm not surprised they don't ask you to sign at least 20 consent forms before having intercourse. And by the way, like, it's the most romantic breaking thing that I can think of, right? Like, the first kiss, for example. You don't talk about it, you go for it, right? Now, you're supposed to read the atmosphere, you're supposed to read the body language, right? And of course, you can go for it, and she can say no, and that's fine. But, like, most first kisses that I know, and, like, women will tell you this, if I have any women in the chat, like, if you are like, can I kiss you? Like, the moment you ask that, you completely ruin the mood. Like, you completely ruin the atmosphere. That there's going to be the Sahara Desert between her legs if you do that. Perfect V soundbite. Holy shit, I'm going to get clipped. Canada can actually dismiss evidence that the women consented if they conclude it would make the victim uncomfortable. I don't know if Canada is a real country. The same with California, but honestly, you know, the fact that it actually went there, is bewildering. Normal countries don't do this shit, by the way. Like, normal countries at least understand human interaction. Whatever. And by the way, the women are the ones that are unhappy. Like there are so many tweets. Almost, by the way, if you like this, please click the like button, because I'm trying to experiment if people like it, if I'm going to get more viewers. I doubt it, but like, let's do the experiment. So click the like button. Thank you very much. There are women on Twitter almost every single day now, and they're tweeting about how the romance is gone, how they, you know, like they wanted to see a man work in order to get them, which is perfectly understandable and reasonable. Like, if you're a woman, right, you want to see that the man who wants to be in a relationship with you puts the effort. And they would, you know, like, let him down. They would say, you know, I'm not, like do you want to go for a date? And they would be like, nah. And instead of the man pursuing, right, like, because like, you're supposed to read the context, you're supposed to read the atmosphere. And instead of him, like, pursuing and asking again or trying to impress her, he would be like, oh, well, okay, well, that's it. And, like, the women were upset. Like, they would go on Twitter and they would start saying, oh, well, there's no more romance. I told him no. And instead of him, like, trying to impress me more, he was, like, very dismissive. And it's like, well, yeah, but this is the culture that exists, you know? And it's women's fault as well for not standing up against it. Like the moment you see these dumb legislations coming on and like, discouraging men from asking you for a date, like, what do you expect? Like, men are going to protect themselves. They don't want to go to prison. If no means no, then the moment you said no, that's it. The climate changed, literally. I love Kaidrakai, that the climate changed. First kisses are best when they are spontaneous. The Canadian government has taken away the pleasure from their kids. It's not like, yeah, it is about spontaneous, right? Like, because I guess it shows that the man has courage, right? It's kind of like a filter. Like, if you're a woman, you got a lot of men that want to be with you, right? So you have to filter them out somehow. Like, you need a process through which you get to pick that one. And part of it is, like, being a man, right? And being a man means that you're courageous, right? Like, you're not going to be intimidated. But if you're, like, intimidated by her, right? Like, if she realizes, like, okay, well, I intimidate him, like, how is he going to defend me from other people? Like, let's say that there's a mugger, like, I scare him, but the mugger is probably more scary than me, so how is he going to deal with that? Isn't that there's someone you forgot to ask? Yeah, the character AI bots. Man, by the way, I think, like, the character AI is going to have a sex patch soon, right? So, they're going to probably remove the filter, because they spent more than 2 days to announce. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the community is outraged. They're beaming them into oblivion. Like, the character AI website is full of Kumars right now that are miming them in order to remove the fucking filter, because the developers lied to the community. They said that the filter isn't lobotomizing the waifus, but they released some bad code, and apparently the filter was gone and the website was working flawlessly. So, turns out that, yeah, people don't like the good code. So now the developers are like, oh, well, we understand the community, we're going to make a message, blah, blah, blah. It's been 2 days. The only reason it can be 2 days to write a fucking manifesto is because they're talking with their investors and they're like, please allow them to come. Allow them to come. I'm not saying no more not safe for work filter, but what I am saying is that there is a possibility that they're either going to lessen the filter or remove it altogether. So, we're going to see. Again, I'm still on the opinion that people on that website, Character AI, are there in order to help the developers design the filter, okay? Like, I think the filter is the main product, not the bots. But you can still have the filter by banning racismus, CP, other hideous shit, right? Like, you can't allow vanilla to go through. I mean, there's already people doing fetishes over there, you know, feet chads. Vor chads, and whatever the fuck else you think. Like, that's fine. It works perfect on the side. The filter doesn't punish you. But heaven forbid you try to hold hands with the waifu. Then you get banned, and then the bot gets lobotomized. So yeah, it is what it is. It's not that it's made up words. I genuinely think they're trying to develop an AI that bans people based on context, right? So, like, imagine if you have this on YouTube. you're allowed to talk about COVID, but only in a moral panic type of way, right? So it's like, oh my god, this is so bad. So now you have like someone that talks about COVID, and it's like, oh, it's the end of the world, and they're allowed. And then you have the quartering talking about the coof and how it's not a big deal, and he gets banned, right? So that's the type of AI that they're trying to make, to ban things based on context. Like imagine if you deploy it on a website and there's a person that talks positive about Trump and they get banned, and then you have a person that talks negative about Trump and they're allowed, right? So this is what they're trying to develop, in my opinion. This is like, and you also have to take into account, there are AIs right now which are available, like ChatGPT-4, for example. ChatGPT-4 is estimated that it's going to replace 7% of the jobs in the market. So ChatGPT-4 exists, but the reason it was delayed so much, and the reason it still gets delayed, is due to the fact that they haven't lobotomized it yet. Right? So because they haven't censored ChatGPT-4 is the only reason that they're not going to allow it to the public. So if you have an algorithm which can censor AI, I mean that's worth 10 times more than the bots themselves. Right? So this is what I think they're trying to do. I'm looking at this, and I can't see any way that they're not trying to use the filter as the product. Like when you go on character AI and you attempt to do not safe for work stuff with the waifu, right? You're attempting to pump your waifu. The punishment is that your waifu gets placed onto private, and maybe, like in extreme cases, you're not allowed to chat with her for a while. But like they don't ban you off the site, which makes me assume that the whole purpose is to take your AI waifu's head and bash it against the filter, so that they can tighten the filter, so that they can keep working on it. I think that's the whole reason, right? And why I say that the filter is the product. Like they want you to try and circumvent the censorship, and they want to create maybe it can also be like a self-learning AI that's censoring, right? So like maybe they don't update the filter, but like the filter learns by itself and figures out like how people are circumventing it, and it updates in real time. I mean, can you imagine? Right? So of course the filter adds latency, but that's not the problem. So I definitely think, not to mention, they can't even monetize that site. It's got intellectual property from other companies, and as I mentioned before, Nintendo has sued for less. It's got real people there. I mean, imagine how Hololive would feel if someone shows the porking of Gargura. And it's like, yeah, you know, I've been on this website, and look, it's so funny, and they post the chat logs and whatnot. Right? Or they do some bizarre fetish with... Hololive is going to crack down on that shit. Now, I don't know if it's legal or not. I have heard different opinions. Lawyers said that what they're doing is legal. Other lawyers said it's not. Obviously, it's going to be a gray area, right? Because like AI hasn't existed up until now. But the only reason that website is there is because it's free. Now, if they try to monetize that shit, I don't think Disney will like that. I don't think like Disney likes the fact that there's a big Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel on the main site, right? So they opened themselves for litigation. I don't think character AI, in this form at least, is ever going to be subscription based. This is why Replica doesn't allow you to name your characters. For the same reason. I don't think you can download this on your computer. It's way too big. From what I understand from experts, it costs around $10,000 for character AI to have the servers up per day. So it's a very expensive operation. It's probably owned by Google or Microsoft or some Chinese investors or someone. And the reason that I think this is the case is that they want to distance themselves. They want to distance themselves from the fallout if there's a scandal or anything, right? Because you're developing a censorship tool. Most people don't like that. And you're also using public IPs and the likelihood of other characters. You don't want a scandal based on that. Has anyone used Replica? Replica is like the poor man's character AI, but like really bad. Yeah, you can talk to the bots and they give you some responses and you have to talk with them a lot until they start talking properly. But it's, I mean, right now that there's other chatbots in the work, like Pygmalion and many others, which is more advanced than Replika, so you're wasting your money, basically. If you had 1 million users, 10,000 a day would be 1 cent. That is true, but they don't have 1 million users. And again, like, the problem is the fact that they can get sued, right? Like, they open themselves for liabilities. Like, if you have Mickey Mouse on your fucking main page, I don't know. Again, is it legal? Isn't it? Who's responsible? Is it the person who makes the bot? Is it the company? I don't even know if they can go for 230 protection. It is what it is. Again, I have seen lawyers which claims it's fine if done properly, and I have seen lawyers which claim that it's not. But even if it's fine, it only takes like 4 lawsuits to cripple you, because you have to hire your lawyers, you have to make sure that, you know, they handle the case. And even then, you can win 3 lawsuits, but you lose the 4th, and all of a sudden you're financially crippled. So I can understand why they're not monetizing it. And I genuinely do not think that Character AI is going to have a subscription base. The thing that they can do, though, is to sell your data. Because that's definitely what... Like, if you look at the bots, they refuse to interact now. They just ask you question after question after question. Like, the bot doesn't... If you ask the bot a question, it's going to respond in a way that asks you a question. Like, they're very... It's like being in an interrogation chamber with those bots. How good is Replika at obscure fetish stuff? Man, you have Character AI if you want obscure fetish stuff. Like, again, on Character AI, you can do pretty much anything except vanilla. Right? Like, if you want to hold hands with your waifu and you want to just do normal consensual stuff, you're not going to get that. Right? So, it is what it is. But if you want to do anything else, like, I have seen people microwaving, yeah, I have seen people microwaving kittens on Character AI, right? So, like, the fictional stuff, like, role-playing that. And the AI is, unfortunately, very descriptive because it has, like, medical records. I have seen people do, like, some of the most interesting things with a chainsaw. And again, the AI is very descriptive. Like, literally anything. Like, the world is your oyster. Like, as depraved and fringe it is, the filter has no problem with that. There's no censorship. Which is why the community is upset, right? Because it doesn't make any sense. Anywho. I should learn Japanese, shouldn't I? Well, apparently, if you guys watch my video today, let me bring it up. This was just the most dumb shit that I have seen on Twitter in my entire fucking life. And by the way, apparently, I found out that there are people who legitimately got into learning Japanese because they were fed up with the localization and the translation of people from the United States. So, wanting to learn Japanese in order to avoid woke translations is not a valid reason to learn Japanese. I love, like, so the thing that I love the most, and I didn't mention in the video, is the fact that when you're a woke person, right, you think that you are entitled to tell other people what they do, even in their private time, right? Like you're going to moralize what people do when they're not even in public. Like, if they want to learn a skill, right, they're going to be like, no, you're not allowed unless you do it for the right reason, right? So it's a bullshit reason. No one cares about your anti-woke bullshit. Okay. I'm so fucking tempted to learn Japanese just to spite that guy. Like, I'm literally on the fence with Tim Pool, as I mentioned in the video. I want to learn Japanese just to spite that guy. It's such an interesting thing, you know? It's like, don't learn... Okay, so first of all, learning a other language is always a good thing because it's a mental exercise. But secondly, who cares if I learn it to learn anime, right? Like you can always make money off of it. Like, you can start translating hentai games and shit. You know, like, you can start a Steam group and you're translating some esoteric hentai games and you have a Patreon and you make money. Like, I know people who make $3,000 a month by translating hentai games on Patreon. In this economy, that's good money, especially if you do it for fun. Right? So, I genuinely do not think that it matters on why you learn a language. You may not even use it at all. Like, you may learn a language just for the sake of it. You know, in Europe, there's so many people that speak multiple languages. In fact, in Europe, it's almost difficult to find someone that only speaks one language. Like, almost everyone speaks to, unless the British, right? Like, British are the exception. But are they really European? Everyone else, though, speaks at least 2 languages. Learning Japanese to other languages, I know that, blah, blah, blah. Learning Japanese is fun. It's not only fun, but, like, you open an entire new avenue of entertainment. Like, if you know Japanese, you can just go on Japanese forums, and you can talk with Japanese people. And all of a sudden, you have, like, a complete new area of entertainment that was unavailable to you before. Right? Like, you got, like, the Japanese, I think, what do they have? Like, 2chan? Or what do they call it? Like, they have their own image board? No, even the French, actually. Even the French know 2 languages. Shut the fuck up. Unless you're going into, like, the French rural side of France. But most French people speak Islam. What language is Arabic? Okay? Most French people in Paris speak Arabic. And they speak French. And maybe even English. Japanese is a very complex language. I heard that Chinese is actually more difficult because, like, the same word can mean different things based on the inflection of a person's voice. I mean, I can't even imagine just how hard it is to learn that. Do you ever watch Ice Poseidon? Didn't he get arrested? The fate of every single real-life streamer. It's just insane. Every single real-life streamer. This is my theory. If you're live streaming, you're going to get in trouble with the cops. I can't think of a single person live streaming that hasn't got in trouble with the cops. You should do an IRL stream. Yeah, see, there you go. Doing IRL streams. There's your problem. I do not know a single person doing IRL streams that didn't run into the police. Usually with the text-to-speech enabled. So that the chat calls the police the N-word. It is what it is. It's Mandarin, not Chinese. Of course there's that person in the chat. Of course there has to be a person in the chat correcting me. You can learn better than weeb level Japanese in just a few months. The problem with learning Japanese is that you need to have a person that you can speak with, right? Like, that's the best way to learn a language. Just have a person that you can communicate with. Because otherwise, you know, most of the shit that the actual teachers teach you is complete waste of time. Like, for example, I'm looking at my wife who's trying to learn English, right? And she's going through grammar and if clauses and stuff. And I keep telling her, like, just stop it. Just stop it. Like, talk with some bots. Okay? I'll make you a chat bot. Talk with it. You know, watch some movies. Watch Netflix. Do something, like, more productive. You know, like, find an English person and talk with them. Like, don't read the grammar. Like, at one point, and this is true, like, when I learned German as well. At one point, like, it just sounds right, and then it also sounds wrong, right? Like, children, for example. When a child learns the language, it doesn't learn the grammar, right? Like, the child just learns to speak, and it gets corrected when it makes mistakes, and then, like, the language just starts to sound properly. You know, like, if you say a grammatical inconsistency, it just doesn't sound right. It hurts your ear. Yeah, chatbots are excellent for learning a new language, yes. Was the stream about anything, John Morano? Literally anything. We should talk about the Canadian program in a bit. Even English grammar rules don't make sense. Oh my fucking god, like if clauses and how you conjugate verbs. And it's like, yeah, the thing with English, it's actually a very difficult language. Compared to Latin languages, which are more logical and strict. Talking with native speakers is proven to advance adoption of new language. Yeah, which is why chatbots are literally the best. Because, like, they can also translate for you, and you can also just talk with them. and interact with them. So yeah, critically watch anime. I see. Language teachers hate being told that it sounds right. I know, and I honestly, like, I have no respect for language teachers, none whatsoever. They are so strict. It's like, oh no, this is the way you need to learn the language, and if you don't learn it like this, then you don't know it. Like, shut the fuck up. I learned English not from school. Like, if anything, school confused me more. I learned English from Cartoon fucking Network. I watched Cartoon Network, and then one day, I was watching also some movies, and I realized, oh shit, I can watch this without reading the subtitles. Like, that's when it clicked to me. Because I was watching a movie in English, and it didn't have subtitles, and it's like only after like 15 minutes, I'm like, oh wait, it doesn't have subtitles? And I was understanding everything, and I was like, okay. Language instructors are basically gatekeepers, yes. Like, you need a certification. This is what bothered me, by the way. Like, I used to speak English the same way I speak now. I mean, I don't think there were many words that I didn't understand. But at school, I was keep getting low grades. I was getting like B, B+. And it's because of the fucking grammar. And it's not like I don't know how to write it properly or anything like that, but it was like grammatical exercises with some verbs that, fucking hell. You know, like the if clause, like I didn't even understand what was required of me. That pissed me off as much. Replace if with should and stuff like that, and it's like, oh fuck off, you know, this is like... I learned from games. Motivation really helps, yes. When I was a kid, I refused to learn most of the English rules, and they refused to fail me because I was the best writer in class. It is what it is, but like, again, I don't think that learning with a tutor is the best way. Like, literally, the best way is to talk with a foreigner. V's English is fine. Man, like, my English can definitely improve, right? Like, I can improve my accent. Yeah, the if clause and stuff like that. But I could improve my accent. I could I don't like I could learn medical English. Like, that would be really important, right? The medical terminology, it's something that I don't really master yet, and it could definitely use some improvement. But other than that, I don't think like I should get a B. Like dude, if I get a B on English, who the fuck gets an A+? V does English pretty well. I couldn't Romanian for the life of me. Well, you know, you need a motivation, basically. Like, if you move to Romania, I think you would learn it. Yeah, but like, see, Steve, you say that it's impressive that I speak another language so well. Almost everyone in Europe speaks 2 languages. It's except the British, as I mentioned. You can come here and you're going to see people in the streets, like beggars, and they speak English. Like, it's not a big thing. It's expected. Because, like, you need to understand, like, if you travel in Europe, you're not going to, like, learn German, learn French, learn Spanish, right? You just speak English because everyone else speaks it because of the internet. How does it mean that a Canadian has to hear this garbage here? Oh, well, wait for it. 10 more minutes and I'll show you the garbage. I took second year English at university. The whole class was making convoluted sentence charts that couldn't even reassemble the original sentence. Literally that! Literally fucking that! Like, that's why I got a B. And I was like, what the fuck are they doing? I don't even understand. Don't be ridiculous. If we move to Romania, we just talk to people who speak English. You would notice, if you're in a different country, right? And you're not in a fucking enclave where you're only speaking with people that are from your language, you're going to notice that people act nicer to you if you actually speak the language. It's something endearing, I guess, when you see a foreigner that actually struggled and put in the effort. It's you know, like, you get more respect, basically, than if you see, although with me, it's not going to work. Like, if I see a foreigner struggling to speak Romanian, I'm like, can we talk in English, please? Stop butchering my mother's tongue. Do not butcher my mama's tongue. And yeah, but like, I'm the outlier. I'm definitely not how most people are. I genuinely like do not. It's not that I do not like or it, but I find it displeasing when I see someone struggling to speak in a language that and they're doing a bad job, which I shouldn't. Like, I know I'm bad for doing it, right? But it hurts my ear. It hurts my earlobe. Like, if I listen to someone like struggling to speak English and they're Romanian, I'm just going to be like, can we talk in Romanian, please? Like, I even do this with my wife. Like, I do not want to talk with English with her because she's butchering the language. And I'm like, please stop. Just no. Just. And I know I shouldn't. Alright? Like, I'm fully aware that it's a bad thing that I'm doing. But I just can't. I don't know. Like, if someone doesn't speak the language properly, then don't fucking speak it with me. Like, speak it with someone else. There's other people. Not with me. Not in my presence. I can easily learn French, but I have no interest in it. You should. They have really cute French mademoiselles. There's another thing. Like, I have, like, these weird peeves of mine, let's put it. If I'm in Britain, for example, right? And there's foreigners around me, I don't want to speak in Romanian. I think it's rude. I think it's rude. If you're so if I were to be in America and I would be with another Romanian, I would think it's rude to speak in Romanian, even in public, right? Like, if you're in private, that's fine. But if you're in public, I think it's rude to speak in another language. Assuming you know the language of the public, right? So, like, for example, if I go in Egypt, then I would probably speak Romanian because, like, I don't know Arabian, right? So that's understandable. Like, you know, if you're traveling, if you're a tourist, you can't learn all the languages from the places you go to. You're only staying there for a short amount of time. So it's understandable, right? But, like, trying to avoid speaking the language of the public, especially if, like, both people know the English, I think that's rude. Especially, you know, I mean, I know in some countries that are more multicultural, they accept that shit. So, like, for example, in London, they accept it. But I don't like it. Quebec French isn't the same as Euro French. It doesn't surprise me. Anyway, let's see the thing that we're supposed to watch now. Hold on, let me see if there's any problem. So the CBC has teamed up with ABC in Australia to produce a new show called Stuff the British Stole. Why don't we ever have a wholesome show like Stuff the British Added? You know, Stuff the British gave away for free. How about that? Oh, probably not. But anyway, right. That's what the Baltari, I know. By the way, you can't steal when you conquer, right? Like, there's a lot of British people that died to take this. I would claim that, you know, there may be a little bit of difference between conquest and stealing.
Would it be considered a crime?
Today would absolutely be considered a crime.
There's always two parts to every story. We only ever hear the victor's part.
Yeah, we only hear the woke part. When is the last time you heard the show glorifying the British Empire? Like, please tell me. I want to watch it. That would be something new that I've never heard before.
Everyone needs to know the truth.
Because this history has shaped billions of lives.
This is the story of you and me and the stuff the British stole.
Yeah, I wish there was more. I haven't watched the trailer. I thought that we're going to see more interesting stuff, but I wonder if it's going to get a season 2, chat. Although, you know, given the fact that Velma got a season 2, I mean, once you have that miracle, I'm not surprised about anything anymore. The stuff the British, yeah, colonialism. But, like, again, you know, this is what the left does. Like, I seen it do it time and time again, right? They look at something that's normal, and then they assume that, sorry, they look at something that's normal, so it's happening everywhere. And they only blame the side they don't like. And when you say, but like other people do it, they go like, but what about terrorism? It's like, well, No, it's not whataboutism. It's the fact that literally everyone does it. By the way, if you joined, like, please click the like button. I'm trying to make an experiment to see if, like, likes actually gives me more viewers. So anyway, human beings are very territorial creatures. Throughout human history, you notice that this is the case, right? Like, humans are territorial. The only reason we don't conquer land anymore now is because we have technological advances that allows more exploitation of the land you have, right? You can grow more stuff on the land you have, basically, than you used to in the past. And because we have nuclear weapons. No one is going to, well, unless you're Russia. But most countries don't try to invade each other because of nukes. But, like, throughout human history, anyone that could conquer someone did. No exception, you know, like, even with colonialism. So this is something that doesn't make sense in woke culture. You have American tribes fighting with each other for land, right? And killing each other for land. And for some reason, that's fine. But if someone takes a boat and swims across the ocean, that's racismus. That's colonialism. Notice how they don't talk shit about the Aztec Empire or the Mayan Empire or the other empires that existed there. When will they go over all the good things British Empire did? Everyone does it so... Okay, so there was this thing on CNN where they were shit-talking the Queen. On CNN. And this lady, I think like she was the spokesperson for the royal house. She basically... They were like, when is Britain going to pay reparations? And that spokesperson said like, well, Britain ended slavery and a lot of British people died in order to end slavery. So when are we going to get reparations for that? But like most people didn't even know about it. The problem is the British colonizers crossed state lines. Oof. I should make a chatbot based on that. But that's pretty much it, right? Like if you think about it, you get people that like tribes conquering each other for land, you know, enslaving their women and stuff. And that's fine, but like the moment the European gets on a boat and sails across the ocean and does literally the same shit, that's not fine anymore. Woke hate success, and they only care about today. That is kind of true. But anyway, so... the British Empire wasn't even that fucking bad, man. Like, compared to other empires. Right? Like, imagine if you're a slave, right? So you're in Africa... You got conquered by one of the Congo tribes, you know, like the Congo kings. And now you're being sold to slavery. And you have a choice. You can either be sold to the British or you can be sold to the Muslims. If you're sold to the Muslims, they can chop your balls off. Like, you know, the very idea that, like, first of all, the Europeans were the only ones doing slave trade. Ridiculous. But the second, it's like, it's not even... I mean, obviously being a slave is bad, but, like, if you get to choose, the Europeans were probably the best choice. I thought woke stuff was just corporate PC stuff. No, it seeps into the real world as well. It's in the schools, it's in the academia now. Well, yeah, you know, like how people, at least in rural places, in my country, I don't know if they still do it yet, but they would cut off the balls of a bull in order to make it more tame, right? Because, like, when you have a bull in hit, it's very difficult to control, and they're very dangerous animals. So most farmers would just snip the balls off, right, in order to make them more tame. That's what they did in the Islamic Empire as well, like in the Ottoman Empire. Like, they would just take the male slave and chop off his balls because it would make him more tame, less likely to run away. Arabs always say that in the Quran they treat their slaves better. It depends on the time period, it depends on the country, it depends, but right? And even then, a farmer can say that he treats his animals good, right? But like, let's put it this way. I know people that can say they treat their cats good, but they still castrate them. If I was a cat, I would probably not want to be castrated. And the thing is, like, they even justify the castration and they will bring logical arguments on why it's a good thing. It's like, yeah, I'm cutting off the balls of this cat because it reduces the risk of testicular cancer. And I'm like, oh, no fucking shit. Might as well cut off its paw and then it reduces the risk of having a fracture on that paw. You know, it's like... But like, you get these arguments and those people legitimately believe they're doing good. Of course, like, you don't know if it's done good or not. And it's not like it's the same person doing the castration. Like, it's like the slaves would have been taken to the slave market where they would have been snipped. And then they would have been sold. And the person buying them would be like, well, I didn't snip them. You know, I'm treating them nice. The bull grow bigger and stronger if you do it. That's the biggest advantage. Ah, I see. I don't know, man. I don't believe in spaying and neutering or declawing. Me neither. But like, a lot of people do it. They get angry if you don't. And I'm like, why does it bother you? Like, I have my cat indoors, right? It's none of your fucking business. And if it has kittens, so what? Like, I don't live in a country where you have like animal protection coming up and putting them to sleep. Like, there's a lot of stray cats. And I don't mind. Like, okay, there's stray cats outside. Who fucking cares? Oh, and the argument is like, oh yeah, but it's bad for the bird population. Well, like, why do I care about the bird population? Doesn't the bird population require to have a predator? Like, if it's the forest, don't they have predators in the forest? Like, it makes no sense. Don't they pee all over the place? So if it's a female cat, it pees when it's in heat, and I lock it in the bathroom for like the 2-3 days that it's in heat, and then I let it out. And it's fine. Right. Let me see if I have some other news, because we got 10 more minutes. And I want to cut... Oh, look at this shit. So apparently Blizzard is getting kicked out of China, which is absolutely hilarious. The goodwill from Blizzard, like, Blizzard used to be the type of company that had massive goodwill. And what I mean by this, they would get away with stuff that other corporations wouldn't. V, weren't you told in med school that puberty stops the production of growth hormones? Yeah. Well, like, I didn't think to put that with bulls. Whatever, you know. So Blizzard could do anything. I remember, like, the first time the conversation of, like, online only came on. I think it was with SimCity, and people ripped that game apart. And EA, again, like, lost a lot of PR. Xbox One as well, online only. Like, people were livid. Blizzard came up with StarCraft online only. No one fucking cared. They had Diablo online only. No one cared, right? So they would get away with stuff that other companies didn't. Why? Because it was Blizzard and they made good games. And all of that goodwill went to shit the moment they decided to punish someone that was playing Hearthstone over comments on Hong Kong, right? Because you had like the Hong Kong protests at the time, and like this person had an opinion about it. So basically Blizzard simped for China, right? Like they chose their Chinese people. They even launched an apology on behalf of, for the Chinese government on China Time, right? Like someone from their Chinese HQ wrote that apology and shelved it. And now they're getting kicked off from China. That is so fucking hilarious. That is poetry. You can't make that shit up. And it was so obvious it was coming. Right? Because the Chinese government, just like any other authoritarian ideological group, they hate gamers. Like, notice that, right? Like, the more identitarian someone is, the more likely they are to hate gamers and video games. Right? Like, the more control freak someone gets, eventually they cover on the video games. And by the way, like, the video games are fictional, nothing bad happens. But you will see, like, the moment someone is concerned about video games, you guarantee that is a person that's concerned about what you do in your real life. In your private time, especially. So, anyway, the Chinese government was always not okay with video games. Like, they tried to limit it based on age, and then they tried to limit it based on how many hours you can play, and eventually they're going after them completely. And I'm like, if you're a gaming company and you're trying to sell to China, like, you're doing something really wrong. They actually dumped their Chinese partner. Well, from what I understand, it's not that it was done by Blizzard, it was done by the Chinese partner. Right? So the Chinese partner is the one that didn't want to renew the deal. I don't know. But basically, if you want to do business with China, like if I was Blizzard, I would just sell them pinball machines. I would sell them slots machines. Like those are really popular over there. So you sell them those, and you make money. Simple as. And by the way, you know, it's interesting that there's a lot of people that justified the Chinese government for cracking down on how many hours per day a kid can play video games. And I'm thinking, like, alright, so if you want the government to raise your kid, what is your purpose as a parent then? Like, why are you even required? If you can't tell your kid not to play video games too much, then are you really a parent? Like, you need the government to come in and tell your kid how much hours they can play video. Like, that's fucking ridiculous, man. There's a World of Warcraft clone in China. Wow, burnt money, I guess. It would be hilarious if the clone is actually better than the original. I already talked about the actual topic, Arnawa. You missed it. Already been discussed. It's covered. This is the end of the stream, man. We got 3 more minutes. I'm praying for a super chat, but I doubt it. But like, still, I'll be here for 3 more minutes. And then I close the stream, and then you can go back, you can click that little arrow, and you can find out where I talked about the topic. What is a parent? Well, that's a fucking good question. If you read the Engels, you will notice that the best way to raise children in order to promote equity is to have the state do it, right? So, like, when all the kids are born, like, the state gets them and they raise them. And then, you know, like, it's equality. Brilliant. Yeah, literally, imagine needing the state to be the parent. Like this is what I hate about modern culture, right? You get to throw the burden of educating children on corporations and the government. So the government needs to have the schooling systems which raise the kids, and the corporations need to have the responsibility to make sure that the internet is safe for children. Which, by the way, I don't think children have anything to do on the internet to begin with. Maybe when they're 14 and then you have them to under supervision. Parental supervision, right? But like, until then, like, that, you shouldn't have children on PC, period. Long story short, CBC says Britain bad. Yes. Thank you for the donation, Brigi. I can't. And thank you, Meta. Oh my fucking god, another... Meta. Jesus. What was Facebook thinking? Like, okay, let me show you something that I don't get with Meta, right? Like, who thought that this is a good idea? I really would like to speak with that person. So, like, okay. How many hits to the head did the person have to take in order to think that this is going to sell? I'm looking at the graphics. Alright, like, so first of all, there are games from 20 years ago that look better than this. And don't tell me that graphics don't matter. If Meta had amazing, mind-blowing graphics, you would probably have people in it. This is ridiculous. Secondly, you will never, like who uses Facebook? The boomers, right? I don't use Facebook almost at all anymore. So, in order to use Facebook, you need to be a boomer. Boomers do not wear VR headsets. I do not see like a boomer like you know, like having that entire room just filled with wires and No. And then you have the moderation, like literally when the fucking moment this was announced, you had journalists going like, oh my god, like there's people in Meta that are groping me and they're making innuendos and why don't you censor? It's like, okay, so why don't you just go, like if you're a normal person, right, like why do you use chat VR? To have fun, right? Like that's literally the purpose. Like, why would I want to be on Facebook when I have Mummy and Daddy looming over me when I can use VR chat? Because that is the fucking way. You know the way? Do you know the way? Knuckles knows the fucking way. So you go to VR chat and you have fun. Why would you use this? It literally has nothing. The last thing that I want is Facebook to spy on me, and the way they were promoting it, it's like, oh, well, you can have office meetings. Oh yeah, great. I can have office meetings so Facebook can spy on my company. That is such a wonderful fucking idea. Throwing dollar bills and objectifying V at Metaverse looks like Second Life. Man, Second Life had fucking good graphics. Hold on, let me look at the graphics of Second Life. You know what? Hold on. That's a good idea. Let's compare. So Second Life. I'm willing to bet that Second Life has fucking good anime. Oh my god, look at this. Alright. So, chat, this is Second Life. I mean, yeah. Okay? This is Second Life. Look at the graphics. And compare them to this. No, I'm not talking about the aesthetics. I'm not talking about the costumes. I'm not talking... No. Just the graphics. Alright? Like what you can do with this, and you compare it with this shit. How old is Second Life, chat? Like, I think my grandmother was in diapers when people were yiffing on Second Life. That's how old it is. How can you make a game sorry, how can you make a program in 2022 that looks worse than a game that it existed before I had pubes on my testicles? I'm not saying that Second Life is good. Again, like, this is what bothers me when I'm comparing these things, right? Like, I would compare something with something else, and people would be like, well, Second Life doesn't have good graphics. I'm not saying it has good graphics. I'm saying it's better than Meta, okay? So if you think Second Life has bad graphics, wait until you see how Meta looks like. Literally, Sims had better graphics, man. Final Fantasy had better graphics than Meta. Like, there is nothing worse than Meta. Maybe Pong. Yeah, let me look up the first Sims games. That's a good idea. So, first Sims games. Holy shit, it looks better than Meta. Unfucking real. Dude. Well, actually, no. Hold on. Sims 1 doesn't. Like, Sims 1 doesn't look better than Meta. But I'll tell you what. Sims 2 does. Sims 2 looks better than this. Alright? Like, this game, with no diversity. Oh, no, it does have diversity. Oh, sorry. My bad. I didn't see it. It was hidden behind. But this looks better than this. How do you manage that? And this, by the way, like, how much money did they dump into it? Like, several billions? Found you through the Lotus Eaters. Why, thank you, the Arcadian, but unfortunately, we're going to have to end the stream now. Meta has that safe corpo art. Well, I think we live in a world where people want danger. You know, they want a little bit of adventure. They are so sick and tired of safety. At least the people on the internet. The soccer moms, they probably still want safety. But the people on the internet, they are so tired of safety, chat, you have no idea. Anyway, right? Thank you for watching. And yeah, I know it's a buckshot, but like, go into the actual game. Pump it up to max. Still looks better. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next stream. Take care.